मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कारचित्तनिनहं न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न च व्योमभूमिर्न तेजो न वायुः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम्. Welcome. Namaste. Welcome to Advaita Musings with Ramesam. Musing is reflection or manana you do after you read scriptures. The idea is to grok the message after you have intellectual understanding of the message. And Advaita Musings are series of videos, more like bunch of videos based on informal discussions with Ramesam and also various articles he has written on Advaita. So actually, there is no order for these videos. The idea is that knowledge will sink in from all directions. It'll soak you in, and that'll lead you deeper into your self-inquiry. As far as Ramesham's credentials or biodata is concerned, rather than giving that information, I would say that just watch a few videos and you yourself will know what Ramesham is all about. See, one thing I can certainly say that anything he says, writes, or presents is based on Shankar Bhasha and scriptures. So if you don't have in-depth background in Advaita, then this first intro video should serve as a platform for future videos. Okay, so let's take a dip in this vast ocean of Advaita. Two things I wanted to clarify. One thing is, none of this is mine. It's all based on Ramesham's work. Number two, I would say is, if you are advanced Advaitan, then feel free to skip this first intro video because it's very basic. So, non-duality or Advaita, it's a pointer pointing at something abstract. It's pointing at non-difference between observer and the observed. The subject observing or looking at the object, they're one. So Advaita is pointing at oneness of the two. Duality implies separate subject and object. Subject and object are connected via action of seeing or observation. So now there are three things: the subject, object, and action, act of seeing. So again, Advaita it's a pointer pointing at oneness of the three: seer, seen, and act of seeing. So one question may arise as to why not we call it one? Why call Advaita? And here's the logic. If there's one, there could be two, three, four, five, and Advaita absolutely wants to make sure there's none. There's no other entity other than the one. That's why it's Advaita. Is non, Advaita is duality. That's how non-duality. Okay. So the question is, how did three come out of one? And Advaita really doesn't want to answer that question. In fact, it just points out that those three are really one. Okay. Everybody is familiar with E equal to mc squared. That's the Einstein's equation. It's an identity showing the equality between E and m, energy and mass. Advaita has many such identities postulated by Indian sages long time ago. And one such identity is Tat Tvam Asi. That you are, or you are that. In Tattvam Asi, that is something we're going to explore in detail. Tvam means you, and Asi means equal to. Tat Tvam Asi. Say. We talked about Tattvam Asi, but in Advaita there are many identities pointing towards the oneness. There are actually four main ones: Tattvam Asi, Aham Brahmasmi, Prajnana Brahman, and I am Atma Brahman. We're going to focus on Tattvam Asi, that you are, or you are that. Actually, there isn't much difference between Tattvam Asi and Aham Brahmasmi. When a teacher tells you you are that, that's Tattvam Asi. And when the disciple Shishya, he contemplates I am Brahman, it's Aham Brahmasmi. So getting back to Tattvam Asi, Tat is attributeless, nameless, dimensionless, eternal Brahman. A tag is given to it, Brahman. So how come I don't understand Tattvamasi? What is Tat? We're going to go deeper into it. We are familiar with the objective world out there. Objective world deals in duality. There's a separate I sitting in this body along with the mind, and then it looks at the other outside world, and that's how it transacts. And an example, let's look at eating a cookie. So there is I, the eater, cookie, the object, and the act eating. So there is a seer, seen, uh, an act of seeing, or whatever you want to call it. The I, the subject, cookie, the object of eating. But in non-duality, all three are one, you know. And when there's only one, then it has no attributes, no qualities. In fact, anything perceived in the world through sense organs has qualities, attributes. For example, through eyes you see colors, dimensions, shapes. Through touch you can feel something soft, something hard. Through your nose you can smell something pleasant, unpleasant. Through taste, sweet or bitter. And then here you can hear some music or something, some harsh sound, so on and so forth. So that's how the sense organs connect you with the world. But there's one more quality that's not sensed by sense organs, and that is time. That is time. Time, we experience moments. So it's the mind that brings in the time dimension. See, you experience the three-dimensional world through sense organs, and mind brings in the time dimension. So typically, the sense organs create a scene. It creates a scene, a frame, maybe a mountain with beautiful trees. And then that lasts for a while, and the next frame comes in. It could be a lake or a river. And the next frame, a garden, flowers, and so on and so forth. It goes on. And that's how the time dimension is formed, see. So anything perceived in the world has qualities, attributes like color, shape, taste, touch, and so on and so forth. But non-dual, or the one, or that Brahman, does not have any qualities, any attributes. There are no descriptors. And you may say, without descriptors, how can we talk about it? And actually, we cannot talk about it, really. You cannot put a finger on it and say that this is Brahman. I think only way of looking at it is when the seer, seen, and the act of seeing are all one, then all the qualities and attributes aren't there. Any of the qualities or attributes aren't there to be objectified. So that one, that cannot be objectified. So anything experienced in the world, perceived in the world, has a point of origin, point of end, and something in between, a point of sustenance. And Advaita says anything that has point of origin, point of end, is not real. It's conceptually unreal. Then what's real? The real is one that's beyond time, does not have time dimension. In other words, it does not have point of origin, does not have point of end. It has no birth, no death, nothing in form of sustenance. It's eternal. It's beyond time. Time doesn't exist there. So now we have a very interesting definition here right away, the definition for realization. That which does not have beginning or end is that Brahman. And that's the only reality. See, that does not have beginning or end is that reality Brahman. And realizing this reality is realization. See. So let's explore reality and realization. There's reality and there's unreality. Unreality has a special significance in Advaita. How? Well, imagine a horn of a hare or horn of a rabbit. Rabbit doesn't have a horn, so it's impossible. Another example is son of a barren woman. A barren woman cannot conceive a child, so it's it's impossible again. That's unreality. Whereas reality is something beyond past, present, and future. It's eternal, without any time. So you see, you have on one side reality, which is Brahman, eternal. Other side, you have unreality like horn of hair. Now, what about the world? Well, a world, it appears, but only for a finite time. Okay. So you can call it real and unreal. So it cannot be explained really. That's what Advaita says. So it's a Sanskrit word for it. It's called mithya. It's a mithya, something that cannot be explained. So interestingly, now you have reality, the Brahman on one side, unreality like son of a barren woman, and then in between is the mithya world. It appears, but it's not real like Brahman. So tattvamasi, you are bad. If that's the case, how come I don't realize it? And the immediate answer of Advaita is ignorance. You are ignorant. And this ignorance is beginningless. How? Well, think of Steve. Say you just recently knew him, you got acquainted with him. Did you know him before? No. How did you know him? Forever. So the ignorance was beginningless, and then with the knowledge removed that ignorance, and you know Steve. Is ignorance like that? Or is ignorance real or not real or something in between? And really, there are two questions. Only reality exists is beingness, consciousness, awareness, Brahman. That's the only one thing that exists. That's what Vedanta says. If that's the case, how come ignorance exists? And if you say, well, ignorance doesn't exist, then how come I don't realize Brahman? So these are the questions. So is there any pramana, any means of knowledge? And here, a an interesting metaphor comes in handy: light and darkness. So there's a dark room, darkness in the room, and you walk in with a flashlight, and the darkness is removed, it's gone, and it's all light. So light removes darkness. Is ignorance something like that? Can this ignorance be removed, or is it going to be with us permanently? So, what is ignorance? So, Advaita says ignorance is illusory. It appears, but it's not there. It's indefinable. And there's a Sanskrit word for it, anirvachaniya. So, you cannot say it exists, it cannot say it doesn't exist. So, now we're coming down to the punchline. If I am Brahman, If I am Brahman, I cannot have ignorance because knowledge and ignorance cannot coexist, just like darkness and light cannot coexist. An answer Shankara gives is adhyasa, superimposition. Superimposition of the false belief that I am not Brahman. And how does it end? Well, just end the false belief that you are not Brahman. That's it. Just end the belief that you are not Brahman. Just like the 10th man story. See, there were 10 guys traveling and they crossed a river at night. It was a rainy night. River was overflowing, and these 10 guys managed to cross the river, got to the other shore, and their leader wanted to make sure all 10 of them are intact. So he started counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then he forgot to count himself, the 10th. And he says, oh, there are only 9 of them. The 10th is missing. And then he concluded, well, he must have drowned. He's dead. He started crying, and all 10 of them started crying. And there was a sage passing by, and he realized what the situation was. And then he told them, look, the 10th man is not dead. He's there, and I'll show it to you. And then he counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then he pointed at the leader and says, you are the 10th man. You are that. Tat tvam asi.
Mano buddhi ahankar chittaninaham nach shrotraj ve nach ghrana netre nach vyoma bhumir natejo navayo chidananda rupa